Good morning, everyone. So, life is a journey. All of us take our journey, and undoubtedly, all these beautiful young minds who are sitting in front of me had walked through this journey. Right from your kindergarten to your primary classes to your present schooling or class 10. In every single journey, I'm sure you have learned a lot of things, experienced new skills, learned new stuffs in life, learned this is good, this is bad. By now, I'm sure all of you know the difference between the good and the bad, right? Now, similarly, I'll just give you a simple story. There was this creature that's me, and I loved or I still love dancing, and it just happened that I was afraid to perform in front of the public or in front of the mass, okay? And then I was someone who would, dance inside the house, inside the four walls, you know. And there were many people who said, like, why don't you try things outside? Why don't you establish yourself? And then I pushed myself forward and I gave my first try, and I won a lot of applauses from a lot of people known and unknown. That gives you a different feeling altogether. Okay, so a skill that I was aware of. Okay, a skill that I was aware of, and finally I got to implement it. And after I implement it, I get a lot of applauses. You feel good about it. You feel happy about your skill or your talent that you've pursued through, right? I'm sure each one of you have one such talent. Okay, it might be in terms of the very alphabet that you learn to the word that has formed to the sentence that you are writing today in your examinations, okay, or in an essay form or whatsoever it is, right? Now we are going to read a short story, okay, which is probably self-motivating, would definitely motivate all of you. So let's just go with it, okay? It's IMO Falherty who had written it, a Irish novelist. Though he had been a novelist, he has shown his interest in writing short stories as well. So he was someone who brought in or was part of this literary renaissance period in Irish literature. And these are a very important aspect that you must remember about the writer, because this might be a question about his writing style or who wrote the text in your examination. Okay, it might come probably for 1 mark. With this, we move forward with the text or the short story that I'm going to teach you. Before we go ahead with it, I want you all to listen to the sound. Yes. Now, done with the sound, I'm sure you can analyze to some extent that probably it's the sound of bird. And yes, it's the sound of bird. You students are just perfect and smart. Now, the short story, like I said, is going to motivate you. And you understood that this story, as ma'am says, should be about some birds. Yes, it's about bird. Guess what? Which bird? It was the sound of seagulls. Okay. Now I'll just summarize the story in short so that when we go through the text, you all understand the core of it in a easier fashion. Okay. So we had this young seagull. The blue one represents a young seagull, and he's just born. And this person is trying to, fly. A bird can actually do that, but still he is afraid of. Okay, this seagull is afraid of. And then Along with him, he also has three siblings. Siblings are the ones who are born with you. So the two are brothers and one sister. So we have four seagulls altogether. Okay. With this, we have the father and we have the mother. So you see father, mother here, you see our seagull here, and the three siblings. Okay. Now it's seen in the story that both father, mother, and the three siblings were in a position to fly. Okay, so though all the four were born together on different timing, the three who had small wings were capable to fly. Okay, were capable to swim, were capable to swim too, and they did go. But the seagull, was afraid of, felt like I can't do it, was afraid to fly, was afraid to step inside water, was afraid to face the world, face the reality. Though it had an uh, inheritance of flying. Okay, so this seagull was afraid to. Now all the other family members were like not bothered about. Okay, so they were like they flew. After they flew, the seagull was all alone. It was, in its lonely phase, and it was just staying right there. And then it slowly realized, or like, what am I doing? Why is this happening? And you see, the mother seagull comes with a fish. Okay, comes with a fish, and the seagull is right here. Like I would explain you, seagull is right here. Let's imagine there's water beneath. Okay, there's water beneath, and the mother seagull comes with a fish, and the seagull comes running, and then notices that the mother is not giving him the fish, and then the mother comes moves back, and then he moves forward, and then he falls down. Now he, after falling down, he had the fish. That's where he realized the very reality of the world. He felt so happy that he could swim. Okay, he was not the same sobby one. He felt so happy that he could swim. So that's where the story ends. It is undoubtedly a short story with immense moral values, immense self motivating phrases, immense self motivating stuff. So that's about the text. I hope that part of it is clear. Now, moving on to the text, his first flight is this short story that I'm going to teach you. Let's go through the text. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. So, like I said, the young seagull was all alone, and the three siblings, they flew already. Okay, somehow when he had taken a little run forward to blink of the ridge and attempted to flip his wings, he became afraid. So when he went to the edge, let's say this is the part, the edge, he wanted to flip his wings, but it just happened that he was afraid. Okay, similarly, there are moments you as kids have come across. You're afraid to move forward. It might be in terms of talking to a relative on a social event. Yeah, anything. Just try to connect it. Okay, the great expanse of sea stretched down beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. So he felt like it's miles down, like this is the edge of it, and ledge. And if I get down, what would happen? Like I'm afraid of. Okay, even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the blink, flipped their wings, flew away. So the sister and the brothers, like I mentioned, they flew away. ran to the plank, flipped their wings, and flew away. He failed to muster up courage to take that plague, which appeared to him so desperate. Like he didn't have courage to do it. He didn't have courage to fly and do all that the other siblings did, the brother and the sister did. His father and mother had come around, calling to him shrilly, unbrandly him, threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he could not move. Now, what did the parents do? The parents threatened him and things like that, and they flew away. They're like, "You be here," but he couldn't move. He was like, "No, no, I'm afraid. I can't do this. I can't do this." Okay. At times, this also happens with you students when you don't prepare well for your exam or during your examination time, right? So your parents are there threatening you, study, 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 and things like that, right? But then there are subjects that wherein you might not probably feel comfortable and you don't prepare for it. Yeah, so that happens. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sister, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. So basically, what do the seagulls eat? Fish. These are group of birds which migrates from one continent to the other, one country to the other, based on the climatic changes, right? Most of the migratory birds are like that, and these are no less. So the father and mother are teaching the other three like how to swim, how to dive, how to catch fish, and things like that. Okay. He had in fact seen his older brother catch his first herring and devour it, standing on a rock, while his parents circled around, raising a proud cackle. The brother was like catching a fish, and the parents were like so happy, like my child has succeeded. It might be in terms of your parents also who appreciate in your success, right? Oh, I'm so proud of my kid, yeah. And all the morning, the whole family had walked about on the big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. So basically, what happens is like all the family members are there and they're like taunting him, say, see, you can't do this, what is this, and all that. This happens. It need not be only your family members, it can be anyone from outside that they do that, right? The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing on his ledge that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. So now this seagull didn't eat anything. He's all left alone. He's feeling lonely on top of his damn hungry. Now, when you're hungry, when you want something in your life, when you know you have to prove something to someone or live, or the very factor of survival, the basic thing, then there comes in a lot of thoughts like, what shall I do? How shall I do that? Yeah. He stepped slowly out to the blink of the edge. So you see the seagull? Slowly he stepped to the blink of the edge. Okay. He, edge under his wings. Okay. Edge that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. Like I mentioned, he did not eat food. He was lonely, so there's a lots of frustration or lots of, let's say, stress, lots of emotion that the seagull is going through. What shall I do? I'm like, I'm unable to do it. You can also see the picture in your textbook, okay, page number 33. The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing on his ledge that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. He stepped slowly out to the blink of the ledge and, standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing, he closed one eye and then the other. See, it's very beautiful. It might, if you're people who have first tried to swim, you would know it. Yeah. So what he did, basically, they fold one leg. So the seagull folded one of his leg, kept it to his side, and then closed one eyes, and then he closed the other eyes and he took the flight. That's why the chapter is titled The First Flight, and pretended to be falling asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. You know how the birds sleep that way? The birds were sleeping. His father was prancing the feathers on his white back. Only his mother was looking at him. Okay, so the mother was looking at him, and all this, the birds, you see what all the birds do when they're free. They're doing all that, okay? She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau, her white breast thrust forward now and again. She tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of her beak on the rock. The sight of the food maddened him. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to wet it. So now slowly the mother is noticing what is the child doing. This always happens with your mothers at home as well, right? Mothers are this great personality, great holy individuals at every house, okay? Or if you don't, at every house, you know, it need not only be your mother, it might be a teacher, okay? It might be anyone who guards you. So you see, the mother is looking at the son like, what is my son doing? Gha gha, he cried, begging her to bring him some food. So the seagull is out there and is like, please get me some food, I'm hungry. He's showing all the signals, okay? Gha gha ha, she screamed back derisively, okay? So the mother is also screaming back, you know, like, oh, what shall I do? How stupid is things happening and things like that, okay? Like, what's life? But he kept calling, so he kept calling plaintively, and after a minute or so, he uttered a joyful scream. After some time, the son had a joyful scream, was very happy. Uh, you know, the chubby, lovely happiness. His mother had picked up a piece of fish, so the mother picked up a fish piece and was flying across to him with it. Okay, let's imagine the mother is flying across to the seagull with a fish. Okay, just kindly imagine that there's a fish. Okay, and then he leaned out, so he's like leaning out and watching, like, what is going to happen. I'm going to have my food. Now what happens, like I mentioned, the mother would just come back, and then he would have his first flight. Okay, that's about the story. Hope you all understood. With this, I would give you a few questions. uh, Question number one is, name give the name of the writer. Question number two is, how many siblings did the seagull have? Question number three, was the seagull afraid of? I would cross check the questions in the next class. Thank you.